When it comes to sales and being in sales, what does the recent fight between Sony and Marvel over Spider-Man have to do with you and negotiations? I'm Scott Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from the Delta. I am south of Sacramento on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. Little breezy day, so check this out. I do this drive every Friday, just to think. I turn off my my incoming ability to take calls, and I drive and I think. And it used to just carry a notepad. Now I just use Otter.ai and I read into it and it types everything out for me perfectly. But leverage. I want you to think in terms of leverage. And so, Spider-Man is one of the most beloved characters in the Marvel Universe. And so there's this fight between Marvel and Sony, who owns the rights to Spider-Man. And so Avengers Endgame was a huge movie. Spider-Man Far From Home was a huge movie. And, people just love Spider-Man. And so this fight's been going back and forth to get the property back underneath Marvel from Sony. And so this goes back and forth. And so when you watch a battle, when you watch something that's going on, like say from Sony and Marvel and big companies, one of the things that you can leverage and one of the things that you can do is you can reverse engineer and go, what would I do in that situation? And how would I deal with this? How would I make this better? How could I formulate something that's going on? So what I'd like to do is what do I think happened in the situation? What do I think was going down? And so in my mind, I think that Sony looked and said, we've got a huge leverage point. People love Spider-Man. It was complained when he was killed off and he was dusted. The movie did $1 billion. What we're going to do is we are going to take our ball and we're going to go home and we're going to quit, and we're going to call it good. That's what we're going to do. We're going to walk away from the table. Okay? Marvel fans went berserk. Marvel fans went crazy and said, you got to do everything possible to get Spider-Man back. Actors and actresses got involved. People who were involved in the movie said, hey, look, you can't kill off Spider-Man. So Marvel had to go back to the table, and Marvel had to, make some sort of arrangement to get Spider-Man back into their series, which they did. And I'm going to let you know, they got whipsawed. They had to give up every concession possible to get Spider-Man back, and Sony knew they had leverage. You're like, okay, so what's the lesson here? When you deal with your buyers, when you're in some sort of negotiation with your buyers, there's going to be a point where you find out that you have leverage and they're going to find out that they have leverage. And for the buyers, they only have such a big playbook. In the world of sales, there's really 6 objections. There's 6 plays that they have. There's really 6 moves that somebody can make. There's only really 6 things that somebody can do. And so you start looking at it. Somebody says, I want to think about it. They got a time leverage on you, right? So what do? You do a discount leverage. You do this discount's only good for today. So your job as a sales pro, not a sales Joe, but a sales pro, is to go back and look at big events and reverse engineer, what do I think happened? For the Sony Marvel deal, I think that Sony walked in give it up. You're giving us everything we want. Look at the court of public opinion. Look at what people are saying to you, that you have to get Spider-Man back. You're in a bad position. Now, I don't know how far they took advantage of it. I don't know what was asked for specifically. That wasn't released. But the things that you need to know is these are the types of big deals that you should be paying attention to, because they do matter. And you taking the time to reverse engineer them and saying, what can I learn from them? How can I take that information and make it work for me? You don't let people get leverage on you. You don't let people put you in a position where you have this big nightmare of a deal to deal with. It's getting really breezy on this Friday afternoon, right? You don't put yourself or allow yourself to be put in a position where you can get that much leverage put on you. I'm sure that there's things that Marvel Studios could have done so that Sony didn't have that much leverage, or maybe I'm wrong. So that's the cool thing. You got to think through it. Maybe you get a couple of friends and talk it out and say, how can I reverse engineer that for my sales process, for my widget or my gizmo that I sell, so that I don't get leveraged? There you go. Leverage. That's the lesson of the day. If you've never been to my channel before, you got one thing to do. Just one thing. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out another fantastic video, probably from a pretty cool location, We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.